1 hour of NBA facts. Dirk Nowitzki has never been voted to start an All-Star game. The few times he did start during an All-Star game was due to injury replacements. As for winning the top fan votes to make the starting five, he never technically achieved that, and this includes the 2010 All-Star game that took place in Dallas. Larry Bird famously stated that God dressed as Michael Jordan. The ironic thing is, Jordan scored 666 points during the 1993 playoffs, so maybe it wasn't God, and I guess being the GOAT can mean something else in this context. Joe Johnson has faced off against John Stockton, who was born in 1962, and Darius Garland, who was born in the year 2000. Michael Jordan has 66 games with less than 15 points and 99 games with more than 45 points. There's a nice joke in there somewhere, but I'll let you figure it out. Eddie Robinson spent his entire career playing for the Hornets, then Bulls. During his time with the Hornets, he scored 969 nice points and grabbed 382 rebounds. During his time with the Bulls, he scored 969 nice points and grabbed 382 rebounds. The same amount of points and rebounds on the nose for both franchises. Russell Westbrook is undefeated in the playoffs when he shoots 3 for 19 from the floor. He has a 2-0 record when this happens, going 15% at the field goal. Larry Bird was just 8 voting points away from winning the 1983 Defensive Player of the Year. He ended up tied at 3rd place and made All-Defensive Second Team. Many people forget that Larry himself was a good defender. NBA All-Star Terry Cummings was actually a designated singer for the national anthem before a number of NBA games. He would sing the anthem and then go along and play in the actual game. Despite being a subpar 3-point shooter, Giannis's first ever NBA bucket was a 3-point make. Jason Tatum alone so far has more conference finals points than the entire Clippers franchise. Jason has 636 points so far, the Clippers only have 622 points so far. Carmelo Anthony is the only 10-time All-Star to never make an NBA Finals. For reference, Steve Nash is an 8-time All-Star, Vince Carter is an 8-time All-Star, and T-Mac technically made the finals with the Spurs, but he's a 7-time All-Star anyway. Chris Bosh is the only NBA player with 10 or more All-Star Game selections, but only 1 All-NBA team selection. He made All-NBA second team in 2007. The top 3 NBA playoff duos with the most individual wins as a duo are Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili at first, Tim Duncan and Tony Parker at second, and Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili at third. After the 1995 expansion draft, BJ Tyler joined the Toronto Raptors. During training camp, he put ice on his body and fell asleep, only to find out that the ice gave him nerve damage and was forced to retire early as he did not play another NBA game since that incident. Andrew Bynum is 1 year older than Miles Plumlee. Andrew was born in 1987, Miles was born in 1988. The crazy part is their draft classes are roughly 7 years apart, as Bynum was a part of the 2005 draft class and Miles was a part of the 2012 NBA draft. David Robinson was the 1993-94 scoring champion, averaging 29.8 points per game. Rumor has it he won this award purely out of spite against Shaquille O'Neal. The Admiral dropped 71 points in his final game of the season. Robinson's average was 0.06 points away behind Shaq, so he needed that big game in order to top him, and if you watch that final game, Robinson was still deciding to try and score even when being double and triple teamed, which can be seen as evidence that he wasn't looking for the best play, but simply looking to score points to take Shaq's scoring title. The Spurs won that game by 15 points, so it worked out in his favor to decide to score anyway, but I'll let you decide, was he purposely trying to win that award, or was he just looking for the best play to win the game? Yinka Dare played 4 seasons in the NBA and only got 4 assists. He didn't even get a single assist until his 3rd season. It took him 769 nice career minutes before he got his first assist. His first assist was a kickback pass to Sweet Pea Lloyd Daniels, who hit a 3-pointer. Yinka had 88 turnovers before his 1 assist. When Klay Thompson scored 60 points, he only dribbled 11 times and had possession of the ball for a total of 90 seconds. Dylan Brooks averaged 25.8 points per game during the 2021 playoffs. During Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals, the top scorer of that game was not LeBron James, it was not Kyrie Irving, it was not even Steph or Clay, it was Draymond Green who scored 32 points in that very Game 7. Canada almost had the rights to draft Allen Iverson in 1996. The NBA did not like the idea of expansion teams getting top picks too early into their existence. The Raptors won the 1996 draft lottery, but due to an agreement with the league, they weren't allowed the first pick, and a redraw of the picks was deemed necessary. Philadelphia won the redraw, drafted Allen Iverson, and the rest is history. Steve Nash has 4 different 50, 40, 90 club seasons. That's 50% from the field, 40% from 3, and 90% from the line. He was just 18 made shots away from having 9 straight 50, 40, 90 seasons, and 149 made shots away, or 1% away, from being in the 50, 40, 90 club for his entire career. And a lot of these were really close. For example, in 2007, he was just 1 free throw away, in 2005, he was 4 free throws away, and in 2013, he was 2 field goals away. Andre Iguodala is the only Finals MVP winner to win this award with no regular season starts during the same season he won the award. He played 77 regular season games that season and started 0 of them. In that 2015 Finals, he started 3 out of 6 games and won Finals MVP. For some jersey collectors, the Oklahoma Hornets Valentine's Day jersey is considered the rarest jersey as so few of them exist. Keep in mind, the Hornets only played in Oklahoma temporarily due to Hurricane Katrina. There was once a jersey sale of these jerseys that raised over $22,000 for charity. John Stockton doesn't hold the record for the most assists in a game. That belongs to Scott Skiles, who dished out 30 assists against the Denver Nuggets on December 30th, 1990. During the 1996-1997 season, the Suns had both a 10 or more game winning and losing streak. They lost 13 games to open the season, then got Jason Kidd from the Mavericks, who was injured on his first game with the Suns. He came back from his injury and led this team to the 7th seed in the West. During that amazing comeback, the Suns had a 10-game winning streak. In year 21, LeBron James so far is averaging 25.1 points per game. That is more than year 21 Vince Carter, Dirk Nowitzki, Kevin Garnett, Kevin Willis, and Robert Parrish combined, who all in year 21 combined for 24 points per game. Al Jefferson has more MVP votes than Kyrie Irving. Al Jefferson once finished in the top 10 in MVP voting. He was in 8th place during the 2013-14 MVP race with 34 MVP points. Kyrie Irving so far has 0 regular season most valuable player votes so far in his career. He joins Pau Gasol as the only player with at least 6 All-Star selections and 0 MVP votes. The Raptors' slogan is "We the North," but they aren't even the most northern NBA team. That belongs to the Portland Trail Blazers, who are 45.52 degrees north latitude. The Raptors are only 43.7 degrees north latitude. 5'9" Isaiah Thomas and 6'8" Brandon Ingram are both listed to be roughly 190 pounds. Steve Nash has never dunked in his entire NBA career. He attempted and missed 1 dunk in 2007. He played for 17 years. I couldn't find any footage of this dunk attempt, but according to its play-by-play, Tim Duncan blocked it in the first quarter, so I'm guessing the ball was still in Steve's hand when the block happened, resulting in the play-by-play to rule the attempt as a dunk, but if I had to guess, Steve was most likely trying to lay up the ball. LeBron James passed up Kareem Abdul-Jabbar again, but this time it was for 2-pointers made in the playoffs. He passed him up with a hook shot, which I don't think was a coincidence. The king knows what he's doing. In Anthony Bennett's entire career as a Cavalier, he scored 217 points. In Donovan Mitchell's first 7 games as a Cavalier, he scored 218 points. It took Zion Williamson just 19 NBA games to be on the cover of NBA 2K. It took LeBron James 903 games, roughly a whole decade, and multiple MVPs before he got his 2K cover. If we set Wilt's 100-point game to a 2006 pace, he would score 69 nice points. And if we set Kobe's 81-point game to a 1962 pace, he would score 117 points. Rest in peace to both legends. As far as single-season career high goes, Dwayne Wade has 184 dunks in his best dunking season. LeBron only has 178 dunks in his best dunking season. Dennis Rodman once got a 6-game suspension for headbutting NBA referee Ted Burhart. Chris Duhon and Larry Bird hit exactly 649 threes during their entire NBA career. For reference though, Chris averaged about 6 points per game and played 9 seasons from 2004 to 2012. Larry averaged 24 points per game, playing 13 seasons from 1979 to 1992. When Charles Barkley was playing for the Rockets in 1996, on November 2nd, he alone out-rebounded the entire Suns squad. Charles got 33 rebounds that game, the entire Suns roster only got 30 boards. Blake Griffin hit more threes in a single game than Kyle Korver. Blake's single game highest is 9 threes in one game, Kyle's is only 8 threes in one game. Shaq once blocked the ball so hard, the arena lost power for a few moments. O'Neal's block against Rex Chapman slammed onto the backboard so viciously that the arena circuitry disconnected for a short period of time. Several TV cameras completely lost power. Basically, Shaq really is Superman.
All the way, Shaq blocks it. Oh, he hit it so hard that the lights went out.
Brian Scalabrine holds the lowest 2K rating of all time with a rating of 40 overall in 2K12. And Shaq holds the record for the highest 2K rating of all time with a rating of 100 overall, a perfect rating in 2K2. During the 2015-16 season, Steph Curry made more threes than he attempted free throws. He only attempted 400 free throws, which is kinda crazy, yet he made 402 threes. Attempting only 400 shots from the stripe is pretty low, especially when you compare him to other guards. For example, James Harden during the season was averaging over 10 free throws per game. As a teenager, Steve Nash learned how to dribble by using a tennis ball and dribbling that walking to and from his high school, and he continued this into his college years. In order to handle the big balls, you gotta learn how to handle the small balls. The 2015 All-NBA first team consisted of Steph Curry, James Harden, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Marc Gasol. Steph Curry is the only player in NBA history to defeat every other All-NBA first team member within the same playoff run. The 2010 All-Star Game was the single most attended game in basketball history, not just NBA history, but basketball history in general, with 108,713 people showing up to the Dallas Cowboys Stadium to see the NBA All-Stars face off. J.R. Smith once dressed up as a baby for LeBron's Halloween costume party. That's probably not milking that bottle though. Tim Thomas used to wear 2 headbands at once during his time playing for the Bucks. Larry Bird never had a losing month. His worst month ever was going 8-8, 500, in which he played at least 6 games in said month. Back in 1995, Eddie Jones dunked over Sean Bradley twice in the same game.
Okie dokie.
Donovan Mitchell became the first player as a replacement player to win the slam dunk contest. He wasn't even supposed to be a part of the 2018 contest as he replaced Aaron Gordon, yet he still won. Baron Davis holds the record for the deepest 3 in NBA history when he made an 89-foot shot against the Bucks in 2001.
Wow.
Baron Davis missed out on a $1 million bonus by just 1 game. According to his contract, had he played 70 games and won at least 30 of them, he would have grabbed that extra milli. He did play 75 games, but only won 29 of them, missing out on the extra $1 million. Jason Tatum became the first player in Celtics history to average 30 or more points per game for a single season. He averaged 30.1 points per game this season, which is crazy to think about since the Celtics are one of the oldest NBA franchises in history and they have a pantheon of great scorers, from Larry Bird, John Havlicek, Paul Pierce, and even prime Isaiah Thomas, who averaged 28.9 points per game before he got injured. None of these players, aside for Jason Tatum, have averaged more than 30 points per game in a single season for the Celtics. From 1999 to 2007, each of those finals had either Tim Duncan or Shaq playing in them. Steph Curry hit more threes in a 2-year period than Larry Bird did in his entire 12-year career. During the 2016 finals, the Warriors and Cavs were exactly tied in total number of points going into Game 7, scoring 610 points apiece for the first 6 games. Kevin Garnett is the only player to face both the 72-10 Bulls and the 73-9 Warriors, so he truly knows which team is tougher to play against. He lost to both teams. He faced the Bulls twice, losing to them 100-103, where he put up 16 points and 15 rebounds, and a 99-120 loss against the Bulls, where he put up 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 assists. As for the Warriors, his team faced them 3 times, but he only faced them once, in the Wolves' 116-129 loss against the Warriors. He had 5 rebounds, 0 points, and 2 assists during that game. His time facing the 73-9 Warriors was in his final year, and his times facing the 72-10 Bulls Bulls was during his first year, his rookie season. And to save you the Googling, Kobe's rookie season was the 96-97 season, missing that 72-10 Bulls by 1 year. But as for the Warriors, he led one of those 9 teams to beat the 73-win Warriors, as the Lakers beat them 112-95. Rest in peace to Kobe. There is a 15-year gap between Tim Duncan's final ring in 2014 and his first ring in 1999. To put that time frame into perspective, there is also a 15-year gap between the Bad Boy Pistons ring in 1989 and the 2004 Pistons ring. Lance Stevenson has a brother named Lance Stevenson, but Lance is with a Z. Allen Iverson's younger brother is named Mr. Allen Iverson. Michael Jordan's Hall of Fame acceptance speech is exactly 23 minutes and 23 seconds long. Robert Horry made it to at least the second round in every single year of his career, but if he stayed in Phoenix in 1996, he would have missed the playoffs. Good thing he was traded to the Lakers that season and made it to at least the second round. If we go back 20 years, the number one offense in the NBA would be dead last in scoring in today's NBA, and the dead last defense of 2002-03 would be a top 2 defense in today's league, statistically speaking. Sure, the old school playstyles could show different results in real life if we just magically threw a 2003 team into today's league, but as far as numbers are concerned, the worst defenses of 2003 would make for some of the best defenses of 2023, and vice versa. The best offenses of 2003 would make for the worst offenses of 2023. Yao Ming is deaf in his left ear. Gilbert Arenas was banned from Xbox Live for cheating in Halo 3. Dave Cowens didn't make an NBA first team the year he won MVP, and Dikembe and Marc Gasol did not make the All-NBA defensive first team the years they won Defensive Player of the Year. AC Green is known as the NBA Ironman, playing 1,192 consecutive games. He is also a true Ironman off the court, as he remained abstinent for religious reasons for his entire NBA career until he got married in 2002 at the age of 38. That takes true strength and perseverance. In 1967, Pat Riley was drafted to both the NBA and the NFL. He was drafted by the San Diego Rockets as the 7th pick overall in the 1967 NBA draft. Riley was also drafted as a wide receiver by the Dallas Cowboys in the 11th round, 285th overall in the 1967 NFL draft, despite the fact that he did not play college football. Now, to make this seem less crazy, Pat's brother Lee Riley did play in the NFL, most notably the Detroit Lions, and Pat himself is a 6'4" athlete who knows both sports pretty well. The only number so far that the Orlando Magic has retired was the number 6. The first time they did it was to honor the fans as a quote-unquote 6th man for their team. They temporarily unretired it in 2001 for Patrick Ewing, but now the number 6 is retired across the league for Bill Russell, so the number 6 is hanging twice in the rafters of the Amway Center. The lightest player in NBA history is Spud Webb, whose lightest weight weighed around 130 pounds or 59 kilograms. The heaviest player in NBA history is Oliver Miller, who at his heaviest weighed around 380 pounds or 172 kilograms. Roughly 3 Spud Webbs can equal the weight of Oliver Miller. Yao Ming was not the first Chinese-born NBA player, he wasn't even the second. The first was Thomas Sherry, who joined the NBA in 1961, he even made an All-Star team in 1962. The second player was Wang Zizi, who joined the NBA in 2001, Yao joined the NBA in 2002. 5'3" Muggsy Bogues once blocked 7'1" Patrick Ewing during the 1992-93 season. Manute Bol once blocked 4 shots in just 6 seconds against the Orlando Magic. Rest in peace to Manute Bol. Carmelo Anthony shaved his braids off in 2008 after losing a bet to one of his best friends. The bet was whether or not he could defeat the Rockets. He lost to the Rockets by 10 points, and he also lost his hair. Antoine Jameson's first name was misspelled incorrectly by the hospital, but his parents decided to keep the typo as a part of his name as they thought it was unique. Ricky Davis was 1 rebound away from a triple-double back in 2003. When the Cavs had 6 seconds left on the clock and they were up by 25, Ricky missed a shot on purpose just to collect his 10th rebound, but the NBA didn't allow it to happen and they did not count this as a triple-double. Carmelo Anthony's 500th career win was Kobe Bryant's 500th career loss. This was on March 13th, 2016 when the Knicks beat the Lakers 90-87. Rest in peace to Kobe. The longest NBA game with 6 overtimes and the longest NCAA game with 7 overtimes ended with the exact same score, the score being 73-75. That's the 1951 game between the Royals and the Olympians, going 73-75 for the NBA, and the NCAA game between Bradley University versus Cincinnati, going 73-75. LeBron James accidentally wore the wrong shorts in the Cavaliers-Spurs game on January 30th, 2016. The Cavs beat the Spurs 117-103. LeBron was given shorts without stripes, and it was stated that this was a wardrobe error by the locker room attendants, though he quickly changed to the correct shorts early into the game. Steph Curry is the only NBA player in the last 20 years to make the NBA Finals after averaging 30-plus points per game during the regular season. Kobe Bryant and Dwayne Wade are the only guards with 1,000-plus dunks. If you were to play in the NBA for 15 years, that's a total of 1,230 games, and dished out 12 assists in every single one of those games, never got injured, you would have a total of 14,760 assists. That's 1,046 less assists than John Stockton's total of 15,806. Zach LaVine did not win 4 games in a row until his 8th season, playing over 500 games. During the 2011 playoffs, Dwight Howard only had 3 total assists but 33 turnovers during that postseason. In 1998, Gary Trent Sr. was traded from the Blazers to the Raptors 41 games into his 3rd NBA season. 23 years later, Gary Trent Jr. gets traded from Portland to Toronto 41 games into his 3rd NBA season. Rasheed Wallace had his 04 Pistons ring designed to fit his middle finger and not his ring finger. Carmelo Anthony is the only player in NBA history to score 50-plus points in a game with no points in the paint. This was when the Knicks beat the Heat 102-90 in 2013. LeBron and Wade did not play during this game, but Chris Bosh did. Jamal Murray is the only player in NBA history to score 50 points in a game with no free throws. He scored a career-high 50 points, going 21 of 25 shooting, and didn't attempt a single free throw. This was when the Nuggets beat the Cavaliers 120-103 in 2021. LeBron James is the first NBA player in history to have over 100 30-point games for 3 different NBA teams. Chris Paul joined Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as a 36-plus-year-old to score more than 37 points in a playoff game without a single 3-point attempt. No NBA team during this 2022-23 regular NBA season scored less than 80 points within a single game. The last time this happened was about 53 years ago, back in 1970. Quick reminder, Devin Booker is younger than Donovan Mitchell and Ben Simmons. Joe Johnson was the last active NBA player to ever play against Michael Jordan on an NBA court. At the time of the 1972 season, the 72 Lakers had 3 of the 4 all-time scoring leaders on the same team, being Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, and Elgin Baylor. Nikola Jokic only had 3 games during this regular season in which he shot below 50% from the field. Dirk Nowitzki, Steve Nash, and Dennis Rodman were all once on the same Mavs roster together in the 1999 season for 12 games. The Mavs quickly dropped Rodman after going 3-9 with him. He then called out the entire organization and said that they needed a new roster and a new owner. If only they allowed him to wear number 69, maybe he would have played better, but who knows. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar made an all-star team for every season he played except during the 1977-78 season. He missed the all-star game that year for punching Kent Benson in the jaw, which broke his hand for punching him so hard. He missed 20 games and had a $5,000 fine. But Kareem was only defending himself because Kent did elbow him prior to getting punched. Though Kent's side of the story is that Kareem was elbowing him first, so he decided to elbow him back, and then Kareem escalated with a punch. But Kareem was fairly certain that Kent was actually sent by his coach Don Nelson to rough Kareem up, and it's not uncommon for players in this era to get physical like that. Crazy enough, this was Kent's first ever NBA game. There definitely was some beef because Kareem left the Bucks on bad terms and Kent was supposed to be the replacement center for him. 9-time Olympic gold medal winner Carl Lewis was drafted by the Bulls during the 1984 NBA draft, 208th overall. This is the same year they drafted Michael Jordan, 3rd overall. Carl was also drafted to the NFL. Manu Ginobili and Bill Bradley are the only players to win an NBA title, Olympic gold medal, and a EuroLeague title within their athletic career. They are also both born on July 28th. Chris Paul once dunked on Dwight Howard, and Kevin Johnson once dunked on Hakeem Olajuwon. If you have a 12-game win streak, you better hope it's the Bucks that break it, because every 12-plus game win streak they break, the team that lost by the Bucks ended up winning the championship. For example, the Bucks broke the 1972 Lakers win streak, the 74 Celtics win streak, the 83 Sixers, the 2007 Spurs, and the 2011 Mavs. All of these teams ended up winning chips in that very season. Allegedly, an official NBA memo was sent out over an hour before the 2011 dunk contest took place, announcing that Blake Griffin was the winner. The contest didn't even start start yet. Blake also was the only dunker in that contest with a major Kia sponsor for his final dunk. Many people believe that JaVale McGee had the better dunks in that contest. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar almost joined the ABA instead of the NBA. It was either the Nets with the ABA or the Bucks with the NBA. Kareem told both franchises to make just one offer and to not have a bidding war, because he believed that having a bidding war over a human was degrading. The Bucks had the better initial offer at $1.4 million. The Nets made a counter offer with $3.2 million, but Kareem declined the Nets offer because he specifically said he didn't want a bidding war and he already gave his word to the Bucks. The Jets and Packers were once NBA teams. Well, the Indiana Jets and Indiana Packers at least. In fact, Indiana has the most defunct NBA teams with 4 teams being the Packers, Jets, Olympians, and my favorite, the Indianapolis, located in Indianapolis, Indiana. Their whereabouts are documented on apbr.org, which is the Association for Professional Basketball Research. The most live viewed finals game was Game 6 of the 1998 NBA Finals with almost 36 million live viewers. That was Jordan's last finals game. The least viewed finals game was Game 3 of the bubble between the Lakers and Heat with just a little under 6 million live viewers. In the 1961-62 season, Wilt Chamberlain actually managed to average 48.5 minutes per game, despite each game only being 48 minutes long. This seems impossible, but here's how he did it. Wilt played all 80 games for the Warriors that season. The league didn't have an 82-game season until 67-68, and of that 80-game season, he only missed 8 minutes and 33 seconds of one Laker game because he was ejected for getting a second technical foul. Beyond that, he played every minute of every game. 7 of those games went to overtime, and 1 of those games went to 2 overtimes, and another of those went to 3 overtimes, which means he played a total of 3,882 minutes. 3,882 divided by 80 equals 48.525 minutes per game. Rest in peace to Wilt Chamberlain. Every Richardson in NBA history so far is a shooting guard, except for Pooh Richardson, who's a point guard. This includes Clint Richardson, Jason Richardson, Jeremy Richardson, Josh Richardson, Malachi Richardson, Michael Ray Richardson, Norm Richardson, and Quentin Richardson. And of course, Pooh Richardson is a point guard. The others are shooting guards. The number 1 first overall pick in the 1967 NBA draft was Jimmy Walker. He was also the very last pick of the NFL draft. He was drafted to the Pistons first overall in the NBA, and he was drafted dead last to the New Orleans Saints in the NFL. Jimmy went on to be a 2-time All-Star for the Pistons. Rest in peace to Jimmy Walker. Danny Green so far has the best Lakers debut in Lakers history. He scored 28 points in his first ever Laker game. For reference, second place is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with 27 points, LeBron's debut is 26 points, Magic's debut is also 26 points, Shaq's is 23, and unbelievably, Kobe Bryant's is 0 points. But it doesn't matter how you start out, it matters how you finish, and Kobe had one of the best final Laker games in NBA history, as he retired with an amazing 60-point game. Rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. Dikembe Mutombo made the All-Star team in his rookie year without winning the Rookie of the Year award. Larry Johnson won Rookie of the Year that season. The Dwayne Wade over Anderson Varejao dunk and the Kobe Bryant over Dwight Howard dunk happened on the same day 5 years apart. This also happens to be Russell Westbrook's birthday, November 12th. The Minnesota Timberwolves can win 500 games in a row, that's winning every game in a row for the next 6 seasons, and still have an all-time losing record. They currently have a 39% all-time win percentage. On the flip side, the Spurs can lose every game for the next 9 seasons and still have an all-time winning record. The most minutes played in a single game belongs to Dale Ellis. He played in 5 overtimes during one game, which totaled to be 69 nice minutes. What's not so nice is that his Supersonics lost that game 155-154 to the Milwaukee Bucks. Pistol Pete Maravich and Larry Bird were once teammates. This was during Larry's rookie season and Pete's final season in 1979-1980. Rest in peace to Pistol Pete. Jalen Rose played 83 games during the 2001-02 season. This is because he played 53 games for the Pacers and then got traded to the Bulls, where he played the remaining 30 games. And the timing of each team's schedules caused him to play 83 instead of 82 games. Larry Bird's most made threes in a single season is 98 total threes, which means these players have made more threes in a single season. DeMarcus Cousins with 131 in 2016-17, Maurice Spates with 103 in 2016-17, and Draymond Green with 111 in 2014-15. Big Z Zydrunas Ilgauskas only made 31 threes in his entire 13-season career, despite being a career 31% three-point shooter. He shot 31% but only made 31 threes. Amari Stoudemire did not start playing basketball until his sophomore year of high school, and he was drafted straight out of high school and won Rookie of the Year. It's never too late to start. The Indiana Pacers had to run a telethon to raise enough money to keep the team in Indianapolis in 1977. Good thing it was successful, thus they're still in the same city. Mike Rice is the only broadcaster to be ejected from an NBA game. He was a broadcaster for the Blazers and got ejected by Steve Javi, the same referee who also ejected a team mascot before. Mike was ejected for a disagreement he had over one of Steve's calls. The 2011-2012 Thunder became the youngest team in NBA history to reach the finals, and the 2022-2023 Thunder became the youngest NBA team to be officially qualified for the NBA postseason. Mikal Bridges played 83 games this season, which was his 392nd consecutive game. What's crazier is that he's the 42nd player in NBA history to play 83 plus games in a season. So think about that for a second. 40 other NBA players have played more than 82 games in a single season due to trades and scheduling after each trade. Ben Simmons has more triple-doubles than Michael Jordan. Ben has 32 and counting. MJ only has 28 triple-doubles. When Ray Allen joined the Celtics in 2007-08, he replaced a shooting guard named Allen Ray, who was on the 06-07 Celtics roster, but Allen Ray was no longer on the 08 roster once Ray Allen joined that team. Mr. Big Shot Chauncey Billups is the only player in NBA history with a winning record against Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and LeBron James, including both the regular season and playoffs. He is 6-4 against MJ, 24-21 against Kobe, and 22-17 against LeBron. There is a giraffe at the Memphis Zoo named after Ja Morant. The giraffe is named Giraffe. Pun intended, I guess. Giraffes was born in November of 2020 and became just as tall as Ja Morant at the young age of 2 weeks old. In 1998, Kobe Bryant started in the NBA All-Star Game, yet he hadn't started a single game for the Los Angeles Lakers prior to the All-Star break. Even up to today, Kobe Bryant is the youngest player to start and lead their team in scoring for the All-Star Game. He was 19 years old, playing in his second season, and he only started one Laker game that season. He scored 18 points in that All-Star Game. Rest in peace to the Mamba. The 1967-68 Royals had two first-team All-NBA players, being Oscar Robertson and Jerry Lucas, but they didn't make the playoffs. Their team went 39-43 with a win percentage of 47.6% and were second last in the Eastern Division. The record for the most missed shots in a row without a single make is held by Tim Hardaway Sr. against the Timberwolves, who went 0-17 from the field just 2 days after Christmas. The Warriors still beat the Wolves 106-102 in overtime, so that's pretty cool. Contractually speaking, Blake Griffin took the biggest pay cut in NBA history, making $32 million in the 21-22 season to just $2 million on the veterans minimum the very next season. That's a downgrade of $30 million. Speaking of player contracts, Dwayne Wade was never the highest paid Heat player ever during his entire career in Miami. Whenever he laced up with the Heat, there was someone else with a Heat jersey getting paid more than him. Some quick examples. In 03-04, the highest paid Heat player was Eddie Jones at $12.3 million versus Wade's $2.6 million. In 04-05, Shaq was the highest paid at $27.6 million versus Wade's $2.8 million. In 05-06, the year Wade won Finals MVP, Shaq was the highest paid at $20 million and Wade only made $3 million. Same for 06-07. In 07-08, the top paid was Shawn Marion at $16.4 million and Wade only made $13 million. In 08-09, Jermaine O'Neal made $21 million and Wade only made $14 million. This continued even into the Big Three era. Bosh and LeBron were always getting paid more every single year compared to Wade. Even when LeBron left for Cleveland, Bosh still made more than Wade on a year-by-year contractual basis in the year specifically. And when Wade left for Chicago, when he came back, the Bulls bought him out, and Bosh was still the highest paid Heat player at $26.8 million. To make this fact even more crazy, Dwayne Wade was only the second highest Heat player, just 5 times in his Heat career. So for roughly a dozen seasons, multiple Heat players actually got paid more than him. The Big E, Elvin Hayes, played exactly 50,000 career minutes on the nose. For 10 straight NBA Finals from 1994 to 2003, the champs either had Steve Kerr or Robert Horry on their rosters. John Stockton only made 2 All-NBA first teams, which is kinda crazy to think about when you consider the fact that he won an assist champion 9 times, a steals champion 2 times, and played all regular season games for 17 different seasons out of a total of 19. When LeBron James was an 18-year-old in high school, he was offered $10 million by Reebok on the spot under the condition that he would not speak with Nike or Adidas at all. He turned down that Reebok offer and later signed a $90 million deal with Nike, making $80 million more dollars. The Baltimore Bullets once made the playoffs with a record of 16-54. That's a win percentage of 22.9%. Now this was the 52-53 season, and 8 out of a total of 10 teams made the playoffs, but it's still pretty crazy to make the postseason with such a poor record. Devin Durant and Kevin Durant sound the same, but they are polar opposites. Devin averaged 5 points per game and had a negative win share. Kevin averages 27 points per game and has 161.2 win shares and counting. Wilt Chamberlain went on to play professional volleyball after he retired from basketball. Wilt also did not lead the league in playoff scoring the year he averaged 50 points per game. In the playoffs, he was second place with 420 points. Elgin Baylor was first place with 502 postseason points. The Lakers played 13 games and the Warriors only played 12 postseason games. Elgin averaged 38.4 in that postseason. Wilt averaged 35.3. Rest in peace to both legends. The Toronto Raptors were almost called the Toronto Beavers. There have only been 2 Christmas Eve NBA games played on December 24th so far in NBA history. That is the 1960 game between the Pistons and Celtics, and the 1967 game between the Supersonics and San Francisco Warriors. Michael Jordan beat the most 60-win playoff teams in playoff history. He's beaten a total of 7 60-win postseason teams, and he never had a Game 7 against any of them. His record is 7-2 against all 9 teams with 60 wins from the years 1985 through 1998 in the postseason. And you can technically say that he was undefeated during his prime in the 90s, as his only 2 losses come from the 80s while he was super young. For comparison, LeBron James is 3-5 with a losing record against 60-win teams so far in the postseason. Magic Johnson also has a losing record against 60-win playoff teams with a record of 2-4. Kobe's record is 2-5. Tim Duncan is 3-3 with a flat 500 record. Shaq is 4-4, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is 1-5. Of all these potential GOATs, only one of them has a record over 500, and that's Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Bruce Bowen once led the league with the highest 3-point percentage in the 2002-03 NBA season, going 44.1% from beyond the arc. During this very same season, he was a 40.4% free throw shooter. He was more accurate at hitting threes than free throws. This is somewhat similar for his entire career, as for his overall career, he's a 57.5% free throw shooter, but a 39.3% three-point shooter. In 2007, a Kobe and LeBron trade was discussed. After Kobe requested a trade, the Lakers reached out to the Cavaliers and offered a 1-for-1 Kobe for LeBron swap. Cleveland declined, then counter-offered with anyone on their roster not named LeBron James. The Lakers immediately declined that without hesitation, and the rest is history. Back in 2020, Gilbert Arenas won $300,000 in the California lottery after a homeless man predicted his win. Arenas was going to give the man $5, saying he only had 10 but was willing to split it in half. The man told Arenas to keep all 10 since he would need that amount for gas, and then to return with 20 because he knew Gilbert was going to win the lottery, and he was right. Arena pocketed the second place prize of $300,000, but he would have received $248 million if he had the mega number 5. And there was also a chance that Arena would have never even bought this ticket. The store owner, who knew Arenas was a regular customer, bought the ticket on Arena's behalf because Gilbert actually missed the deadline to buy the ticket in person, but he still won the $300,000 prize. After Gilbert found out he won, he returned to the man who predicted his win to give him an undisclosed amount of money for his his support. Malcolm Brogdon is older than Anthony Davis, despite the fact that Anthony Davis has been playing in the NBA since 2012, and Brogdon has joined the NBA in 2016. LeBron James has become the first player in history to score 40 points against all 30 NBA teams. Nikola Jokic has surpassed Michael Jordan for the highest career box plus minus of all time. The Joker has a box plus minus of 9.23, MJ's is 9.21. Allen Iverson knows how to dribble a football. You heard that right, a football. So far, Donovan Mitchell has twice as many 50-point playoff games compared to LeBron James. Mitchell has 2, LeBron only has 1 so far. J.R. Smith's high school yearbook quote is, "Get chicks or die trying." The 2007-08 Miami Heat only won 15 games. Keep in mind, this was just 2 years after they won the chip in 06. Former number 1 overall pick Anthony Bennett averaged more points per game in his rookie season than these rookies: Steve Nash, Jimmy Butler, Ben Wallace, Jeff Teague, and Draymond Green. He averaged just about the same amount of rebounds as rookie Draymond and shot more efficiently. Just imagine if Bennett was not a first overall pick and didn't have all that pressure. Also imagine if he was in a good system like, say, the Spurs or Warriors. Do you think he could have panned out like Draymond? Since they both are positioned as tweeners who are hybrid players between the small forward and power forward position. Who knows? But what we do know is that during his interview with Peter Mansbridge, Anthony told him that his hands were too small to palm a basketball. Speaking of rookies, rookie Michael Jordan and MVP Kobe Bryant have nearly identical stat lines. Rookie MJ put up 28.2 points per game, 2.4 steals, 6.5 rebounds, with a field goal percentage of 51.5%. MVP Kobe Bryant at age 29 put up 28.3 points per game, 1.8 steals, 6.3 rebounds, with a field goal percentage of 45.9%. This is not to take anything away from Kobe, he is a legend and may he rest in peace. This stat line is just to show how NBA ready rookie Jordan was right out the gate. Jason Tatum has more total playoff points compared to Anthony Davis so far, despite Davis being in the NBA for nearly twice as long compared to Jason. Tim Duncan did not like the way this Gatorade tasted, but he still gave it one more chance before passing it off. It technically is a fact. In Michael Jordan's final season, the 02-03 season, he was 40 years old and played all 82 games. He averaged 37 minutes per game that season. If he was playing these minutes in today's NBA, he would be tied for third in minutes per game currently, only behind Pascal Siakam, who's currently averaging 37.6 minutes per game, and Luka Doncic, who's currently averaging 37.5 minutes per game. He would be tied with Jason Tatum at 37 minutes apiece. Keep in mind, this is 40-year-old MJ compared to these prime players. Dennis Rodman did not play high school basketball and didn't start playing organized basketball until he was 21. In high school, he was 5'11", then hit a major growth spurt from ages 18 to 20, reaching all the way up to about 6'6", 6'7". Epe Udoh, Ben Uzoh, and Beno Udrih are the only 3 NBA players so far to have a last name that starts with the letter U and ends with the letter H. Funny enough, they all played in the same Bucks vs Raptors game on April 23, 2012. Le GM has traded away 17 first-round picks 13 times so far in his career, but only one of those picks turned into an all-star as of yet, that being Andrew Wiggins. So when LeBron-led teams trade away future picks for immediate talent, maybe they're making the right trade. At least so far, there is still time for a number of these picks to become all-stars, but bottom line is LeBron knows what he's doing. Or the GMs of these teams, but come on, we know who's calling the shots. Harvey Pollack worked for the NBA since day one, and he was the last original NBA employee since its first season in 1949. He worked all the way till he was 93 years old, and he was the guy who wrote the 100 in the Wilt Chamberlain famous 100-point photo. He most recently was the director of statistical information for the 76ers. Harvey is sorta like the grandfather of modern NBA basketball stats, as he is credited with beginning the league's official tracking of offensive and defensive rebounds, steals, turnovers, blocks, and minutes played. He also invented the phrase triple-double. Harvey passed away in 2015 at the age of 93. May he rest in peace. Mark Eaton has more career triple-doubles than John Stockton and Karl Malone combined. Rest in peace to Mark Eaton. The crazier fact is that John Stockton has 0 triple-doubles out of 1,504 NBA games played. His closest was probably on February 12, 1991, when the Jazz beat the Rockets 113-92. John had 19 points, 11 assists, and 9 steals in that game. That's right, 9 steals. Dr. J. Julius Erving retired in the 1986-87 season. That's not a crazy stat, but what is that Moses Malone was the last NBA player with ABA roots still standing in the NBA. Moses ended up retiring after the 1994-95 season at age 39. Remember, the ABA only lasted roughly 9 years, and Malone's solo run as the last active NBA player with ABA beginnings lasted 7 years. That's how long he's been in the NBA. Rest in peace to Moses Malone. And while Malone was the last ABA player left in the NBA, he was not the last player to leave the ABA and join the NBA. He was technically the 8th last to do it, as he was the 5th pick in the 1976 ABA dispersal draft. The very last ABA player in existence is technically Mike Barr, who was the final pick of the ABA to NBA draft. Dirk Nowitzki had 199 teammates during his time in the NBA, 2 of which were Tim Hardaway Sr. and Tim Hardaway Jr. So far, that's the only time both a father and son played with a single specific NBA player, at 2 different points in said NBA player's career. Reggie Evans, Goran Dragic, Carl Landry, Isaiah Thomas, Chris Dunn, Steve Nash, and Danny Granger have all lost teeth while playing in an NBA game. The Toronto Raptors had the lowest free throw percentage by a team in a single game, at 0% versus the Hornets on January 9th, 1996. But to be fair, they only attempted 3 free throws that game and missed all 3. But the free throws were missed by Damon Stoudemire, who's a solid free throw shooter, and Alvin Robertson, who's an average free throw shooter. The second worst free throw shooting night in NBA history belongs to the 2018 Lakers in the January 19th game against the Pacers. They attempted 14 free throws, but only made 2 of them. 2 of those came from Jordan Clarkson, who went 2 for 3 from the stripe in that game. The team shot 14.3% from the line. George Bush was the 86th overall draft pick in the 1950 NBA draft to the Baltimore Bullets. Well, not that George Bush, but George H. Bush Jr. While Kevin Durant has 2 Finals MVPs from his days with the Warriors, not a single regular season in a Warriors jersey did he ever average more points than Steph Curry. Curry always averaged more or equal points than KD during that time. Doc Rivers, as a coach, has blown 3 series so far in which his team was up 3-1. He's been up 3-1 4 times. Doc Rivers' record when being up 3-1 is 1-3. But to be fair to Doc, he should get credit for even winning 3 games in 2003. That's pretty impressive for an 8th seeded Magic team to take on a 1st seeded Piston team. As for 2015, Chris Paul missed the first 2 games of that series and was technically playing on one leg once he returned, and they didn't have home court advantage. In 2020, that was in the bubble, and if there was no bubble, that Game 7 would have happened in the Clippers' home court, so who knows how that would have worked out. And then in 2022, well, they won that one. Tony Parker has more playoff points than Wilt Chamberlain, Larry Bird, and Magic Johnson. Shaq was 6 feet and 4 inches tall by the age of 10. A 10-year-old Shaq is taller than an adult Steph Curry. Hakeem Olajuwon is the only NBA player to be top 10 all-time in total steals and blocks. He's also the only center to be in the top 10 all-time steals. He's got 2,162 steals, being 10th all-time, and 3,830 blocks, being first all-time. As of this upload, Kawhi Leonard has less total career points than Tobias Harris, Luol Deng, and Mark Jackson. Kevin Garnett has played against both Magic Johnson and Nikola Jokic within his NBA career. There's a lot of Pauls in Paul George's family, as Paul George's dad is named Paul and his mom's name is Paulette. The AC in AC Green does not stand for anything. A.C is simply AC, just like his father, AC Green Sr. Did you know that Michael Jackson and Michael Phelps played in the NBA? Well, not these Mikes, but there was a Michael Jackson and a Michael Phelps. Jackson played for the Kings, and Phelps played for the Supersonics and Clippers. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, not to be confused with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, was an NFL player who wore number 33 and was selling Abdul-Jabbar jerseys. NBA Kareem sued the NFL Kareem, and they finally settled when he changed his name to Abdul Kareem Al-Jabbar. For more context, Abdul Kareem was born as Sharman Shah, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was born as Lou Alcindor, and the new jersey only had his first name on the back. To add on to this fact, what are the odds that both of these Kareems played in the same school, UCLA, wearing the same number, 33? David Robinson is the oldest Rookie of the Year in NBA history. He won the award at age 24. He got his nickname the Admiral during his time with the military, but he was eventually withheld from the Navy for being too tall. The original Dream Team never called a single timeout in their Olympic title run back in 1992. Chuck Daly didn't call a single timeout over the course of the entire tournament's title run. Maybe it's because they were beating some of these opponents by an average of 43.8 points per game. After losing to Hakeem in the finals, Shaq challenged him to a one-on-one competition. Apparently both agreed, and this was going to happen as Taco Bell planned to host the one-on-one championship and were even selling pay-per-view sessions. Unfortunately, the event was canceled as Hakeem had back injuries and stepped away from this opportunity. Pat Riley owns the term three-peat as he's filed a trademark for this term and earned $300,000 in royalties when the Chicago Bulls won 3 consecutive NBA titles. While we're on the topic of heat, a warm basketball is bouncier than a cold one. This is because air likes to expand when it's hot, and molecules in the warm ball hit inside the surface at higher speeds than cold balls do, making them bouncier. Wilt Bellamy played 88 regular season games in the 68-69 nice season. This was due to playing 35 games with the Knicks and 53 games with the Pistons. The regular season wasn't extended. This happened because Detroit had only played 29 games by the time the Knicks already played 35 games into their season when they traded him. The only player in the modern era to have 7 fouls without getting ejected is Cal Bowdler. This happened in a game between the Atlanta Hawks and the Portland Trailblazers on November 13th, 1999. The scorekeeper did not realize this until after the game was over, so he was able to stay playing with that foul total, even though 6 fouls should have got him ejected. The only playoff series in NBA history where the away team won every game for all 7 games occurred in the 2020 Eastern Conference semifinals against the Raptors and Celtics. Now I know what you're thinking. This was the bubble, so home court advantage didn't have its full effect with all the fans roaring around, but still, it's quite an amazing feat nonetheless. Russell Westbrook and James Harden are the only players in NBA history with multiple scoring titles and multiple assist titles. There are players who have 1 assist title and multiple scoring titles and vice versa, but these two have multiple in both categories. So far, Zion Williamson has more career missed games than LeBron's entire career. Back in 2020, Maxi Kleber led the league in games played despite not playing all 82 games. De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk played together in college for Kentucky. Malik wore number 5 and Fox wore number 0. They're now teammates on the Kings. Fox was number 5 and Monk is the one wearing number 0. Both Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell were drafted by the Nuggets and then traded to the Jazz. George Mikan retired in the 1955-56 season. Bill Russell was a rookie in the 56-57 season. Then Russell retired in the 68-69 nice season. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was a rookie in the 69 nice 70 season. To make a long story short, some of the best centers in NBA history were so close to facing each other within the same season, retiring and entering the league 1 season apart. Speaking of facing each other in the same season, Karl Malone has played a preseason game in 2003 against LeBron James, and it's the only time they faced each other on an official NBA court. Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon did not start playing basketball until the age of 15. He mainly played soccer up until then, and that's why he's got amazing footwork with his Dream Shake. Only 4 NBA franchises have more triple-doubles in their entire history than Russell Westbrook alone. Those teams are the Lakers, Kings, Celtics, and Sonics/Thunder. Russ has played for 2 of those teams, by the way. In fact, most of those Thunder triple-doubles are Westbrook's own stats. So not only is Russell Westbrook out triple-doubling 26 other NBA teams, if we were to combine NBA teams, Westbrook alone has almost as many career triple-doubles as 6 franchises combined, being the Jazz, Grizzlies, Magic, Raptors, Hornets, and Timberwolves, totaling to 201 triple-doubles. These franchises have a combined 206 seasons of history, while Russ is just currently in his 15th NBA season. Going back to Maxi Kleber, who was once teammates with Dirk Nowitzki, they were actually born in the same German city. And we're not talking about some major city, We're talking about Würzburg, which only has a population of 127,000 people. The 2004 Pistons are the only team to ever win 16 playoff games, aka winning the title, without scoring 110 points in any of the wins. The second closest team to do this was the 2005 Pistons, who won 15 games but lost Game 7 in the finals to the Spurs. With the Nuggets being NBA champs this year, the West has won the chip 36 times, the East 40 times. This is only the third time in NBA history where the last 5 champions belong to completely different teams for each year. The other 2 times this happened was from 1974 to 1980 and 1954 to 1958. The 1993 Topps Gold Michael Jordan card has an error on the back of it that states he was born in 1968, but he was really born in 1963. Tim Duncan has the highest career plus-minus of all time at plus 8,910 for his entire career, and it's not even close. Second place is LeBron James with plus 7,223, which is a difference of 1,687. Timmy D is also the only starter to win 3 rings in 3 separate decades while starting in each of the finals. Tony Snell hasn't missed a free throw since the 2019-2020 season. In the last 3 years, he's been perfect from the line, going 47 out of 47. Klay Thompson's jersey number is 11. He was drafted in 2011, he was the 11th overall pick. K is the 11th letter in the alphabet. His childhood home in California was the 11th house on the 11th lane. He took just 11 dribbles during his career-high 60-point night. He also hit 11 three-pointers in Game 6 of the 2016 Western Conference Finals. Chris Boucher is the only qualified player during the 2022-23 season to average less than 1 assist per 36 minutes. His per 36 stats has him averaging .07 assists. Nikola Jokic became the first player in NBA history to lead the postseason in points, rebounds, and assists. Jonathan Isaac has just played 14 games this decade so far. Back in the 90s, the New Jersey Nets tried multiple times to rebrand themselves as the Swamp Dragons. They were thinking about this because they were usually at the bottom or dead last in merchandise sales during the time, and it was tough to sell tickets to their games. The name Swamp Dragons comes from swamp rats, as swamp rats are a pretty common species in the swamps of New Jersey, but rats weren't as mythical as dragons. So they were attempting to call their team name the Swamp Dragons. Ultimately, this did not come to fruition, and the Nets stayed. The team name Nets itself is not only in reference to a basketball net, but it's to pay homage to the other team names for other sports nearby, including the Jets and Mets. That's Nets, Jets, and Mets, they all rhyme. The Seattle Supersonics won a playoff series more recently than the Kings. The last time the Kings won a playoff series was in 2004 when they beat the Mavericks in 5 games. The Supersonics last won a playoff series in 2005 when they actually beat the Kings in 5 games. And I'm specifically talking about Seattle, not the OKC Thunder. Luka Mute has the highest plus-minus in a single NBA game with a plus 57. He did this in 2017 as the Rockets beat the Nuggets 125-95. Luke had 26 points, going 5 for 5 from the field, 3 for 3 from 3, while also grabbing 13 steals and 4 rebounds. Only 3 players won a final series while averaging over 30 points per game and 7 assists per game. These 3 players are Kobe, Michael Jordan, and Nikola Jokic. The Cleveland Cavaliers official website once published an article naming the best Cavalier from each jersey number. This article did come out while LeBron was playing for the Miami Heat, and can you guess who they chose for number 23? That's right, the Cavs legend Tyrone Corbin. What a great choice, right? Well, after public backlash, they updated the article and eventually replaced him with LeBron James, but it was still a pretty funny yet petty moment for the Cavs to choose Tyrone over LeBron. They even had the audacity to name some honorable mentions, and they name-dropped LeBron at the very end as if he was some obscure player. They even started their headline for the 23rd page by saying the number was made famous by Michael Jordan, which is technically true, but in a Cavs history page, yikes. You gotta give some respect to LeBron at least a little bit. And I know a lot of people remember how bad the Cavs became once LeBron left Cleveland, but not many talk about how bad the 98-99 Bulls were once Jordan retired for a second time. The 98-99 Bulls only won 13 games and have the lowest scoring game in the three-point era, only putting up 49 points on April 10th, 1999 in a loss against the Heat, who scored 82 points. Bryant only scored 1 point for the Bulls that game. Not Kobe, but Mark Bryant. As crazy as a 49-point game sounds, this is not the lowest scoring game in NBA history. That belongs to the 1950 Minneapolis Lakers, who only scored 18 points in their loss to the Fort Wayne Pistons, who beat them by scoring 19 points. This is even lower than the lowest WNBA scoring game between the Miami Soul and Washington Mystics with a final score of 42-36. More importantly, scoring low points on its own isn't a big deal until you factor margin of victory, because those Bulls don't even own the largest loss margin in NBA history. That belongs to the 21-22 OKC Thunder, who lost by 73 to the Grizzlies on December 2nd, 2021. The final score was 152-79. The most missed free throws in a single game belongs to, you guessed it, Andre Drummond, who missed 23 free throws on January 26th, 2016, but that's not the embarrassing part. The embarrassing part is the Rockets still somehow found a way to lose that game, losing 123-114. Maybe it's because their main man at the time, James Harden, had some embarrassing stats to share himself. He is tied with Damon Stoudemire for the most missed threes in a single game with 16 missed threes, but Damon only did this once during the 04-05 season. Harden missed 16 threes in a single game on 6 different occasions during both the 2017-18 and 2018-19 season. His worst of this bunch is going 1 for 17 in a loss to the Orlando Magic. Russell Westbrook has the infamous nickname as West Brick. Whether this nickname is fair or not is up for debate. What is a fact though is that the 2016-17 Thunder do hold an NBA record for the most missed field goals in a row without a single make. That's 24 straight bricks without making a single field goal. Steph Curry is the only NBA player to win unanimous MVP. Magic Johnson is the only rookie to win Finals MVP. Though, to be fair, Bill Russell technically would join Magic Johnson on this list, but they did not hand out the Finals MVP award when he was a rookie champ. Rest in peace to Bill Russell. LeBron James is the only Finals MVP to come back down 3-1 in an NBA Finals. Kobe is the only player to ever average at least 27 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists per game in his 17th season. And I know what you're thinking, what about LeBron? Well, in LeBron's 17th season, he only averaged 25 points per game. Kobe eclipsed 27. Rest in peace to the Mamba. Dwayne Wade is the only player in NBA history to obtain at least 2,000 points, 500 assists, 100 steals, and 100 blocks in a single season. This was his 08-09 season. Dirk Nowitzki is the only player to record at least 31,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, 3,000 assists, 1,200 steals, 1,200 blocks, and 1,500 three-point field goals. LeBron can join this list if he gets 127 more blocks, but Dirk is the only player to ever play for a single NBA franchise for 21 seasons. For reference, Kobe only played 20 seasons with the Lakers. Tim Duncan is the only player in NBA history to achieve both triple digits in win shares and triple digits in defensive win shares. Many other players have triple digits in just one of these categories, but Tim has them in both. James Harden is the only player in NBA history to lead a team to 65 wins without another All-Star teammate on his roster. He did this during the 2017-18 season. This Rockets team pushed the KD Warriors to 7 games, and if it wasn't for injuries, he could have gone to the finals in that season. So here was 1 hour of NBA facts. Let me know what your favorite fact was and what you want to see in the future. Don't forget to dunk on that like button and subscribe with notifications turned on. I'm Rebound Rewind, and I'll fast forward to you later.